Hey guys, I hope you're having a good morning in Boston. We just had the most magnificent day in the Holy Land, filled with rich history and bringing the Bible and the prophets alive. I'm in a place today called Nachal Prat. Yesterday, or on Monday actually, we went to Nachal Prat, which is a spring with rocks and water running. And it's in a vicinity which is about 20 to 30 minutes from Mamilov, outside Jerusalem, 15 minutes. And the history of this place is remarkable. It is so beautiful. And today we went to another spring called Mabua. Now, Mabua. So there's three springs here in Nachal Prat. One is called Mabua, one is called Nachal Prat, and one is called Kelt. Now, the story goes like this. Why was it called Prat, the area of Prat? There's two opinions given to this. One is that the reason why it was called Prat is because it comes from the word Poria. Poria means to be fruitful. And that makes logic that this is why it was called Poria, because if you come here and you look as I walk around and as I move around, you'll see that there's mountains everywhere here, dry land. And yet right in the middle, there's three springs of Mabua, Nachal Prat, and Kelt that all pour into this river, which allows it to be fruitful. So that's one reason it was called Poria. The second reason it was called Poria is because the word Poria comes from the word Efrat, Ephrata. And according to many biblical historians, this is where Derech Efrat was, the way of Ephrat, which is literally mentioned in the Bible. In fact, some people are of the opinion that Rachel was buried around here because in the Bible it tells us that she was buried Derech Ephrata, the way of Ephrat, which ran parallel to the Derech Avesenu, which was a way to get to Jerusalem. Now, what's interesting is that this place makes a lot of mention in the time of the Hashmonaim, for example, when after their fourth victory of the Hashmonaim, the Seleucids came back and started killing the Jews after the Jews had reconquered the temple, and Shimon, the Hashmonai, came back to this area to hide. He ran away with the remaining people to this area. And it makes sense because there's natural springs, there's water, there's many caves here. And it's a good place to hide and to be safe. And then it also, of course, when you come from the top, there's two towns called Anatot. And I think the second one is Almona. Now right across from these modern cities is a place called Anata, which is an Arab village. And according to many opinions, this village, Arab village called Anata, is the original Anatot. Now, what's Anatot? Well, this is where it gets really remarkable. Anatot is the place of one of the most famous Jewish prophets, Yirmiyahu. Yirmiyahu lived in a place called Anatot. And the Torah tells us the story the way in the beginning of chapter 1 of Jeremiah, we read about Jeremiah who lived in Anatot. And then in chapter 13, for example, we read the way God tells Yirmiyahu to buy a belt, a silk belt, and to take it to Prat. And in Prat, he should bury it. And then the Torah says, the Bible, the prophet says, God tells him to come back and to see. And he comes back and he sees that the belt is all disintegrated. And what the Torah is trying to tell us, what God's trying to tell him, is just like the Jews were the belt, the beautiful belt of Hashem. But now if they don't listen to his words, they will become disintegrated. Look at all this beauty around me. Sorry for this pause. Of course, we also know when God tells Jeremiah, he shows him a stick and he says on the stick, what do you see? And although the stick had no visible signs, it was made from almond wood. And immediately Yirmiyahu says this. And as you go down here near the river, you see all the almond trees. Again, another reference here. Many people tell us Moses was the one who took the Jewish people into the land of Israel. And they compared Jeremiah, the one who unfortunately escorted them out the first time. And one of the messages is, the place that we're at today is called Mabua. And the river Mabua is very close to Jericho. That's where the Jews came into Israel from. It's literally right near Jericho. And what the message that Jeremiah was telling to the Jewish people was that if they don't keep the Torah, if they don't listen to God, then just like the Jews entered into the land from this area, from Jericho, so too will they have to leave through this place. So it was by no coincidence that Yirmiyahu was speaking from Pras, from Anatot. Now Anatot and Almona, these two cities, as you know, every single tribe had a piece of the land of Israel. And within each tribe, they had to designate land for the Levites because they had no land. And in fact, the rabbis tell us, and the Bible tells us, that for the tribe of Benjamin, these were the two cities that were designated for the Kohanim. But now, it's only a donkey ride away from Jerusalem, from the Temple Mount. But who lived there? So the important Kohanim, they would live right near Jerusalem, or in Jerusalem. So who lived here? So to speak, the Kohanim that were not in the highest level. For example, Eviatar HaKohen, who King Solomon kicked away from living in Jerusalem because of who he supported. And then the children of Eli, the famous high priest, who blessed Hannah to have a son, Samuel. His children died, and then his grandchildren lived here. But when you think about this remarkable area, and I don't know if you could see behind me, the sun is on me. Look how gorgeous this is. It's all mountains and mountains. And if you see the different levels, and this is all the area that we walked. And then you come to the Mabua waters, which I'll walk down to now, which is where my kids are. And the Mabua waters is a remarkable thing. Right in the middle, there's this big area that's about, let's say, 6 feet tall. And every 20 minutes or so, it starts filling up with water, and it fills up till the top. It overflows. And then 20 minutes later, the water recedes until it overflows again. And when I was given to understand from some of the people that were here, it's not through a tour guide, so I won't take responsibility for it, that in the caves over here, we're in Judean hills, so in the caves that we're in, the rainwater comes in, and it goes into this pool area. And like every time that it overflows, it starts pouring water, and then it recedes. How remarkable. So we came here, literally took us a half an hour. We hung out here, we jumped in each time. We stayed in, you're not supposed to jump in, but we stood there, and then the water would fill up. Cold water, clean water, fresh water, and then it would recede. You think about the miracles of God's nature. But to me, it's more than that. You know, we're still in the 7 weeks after Tisha B'Av. And I'm not sure if you guys know, but the 3 weeks before Tisha B'Av, we read the prophecies of Jeremiah, which warn about the destruction of the temple. And then the 7 week after, we read the 7 weeks of comfort from Isaiah the prophet. But even in chapter, I think, 32 of Jeremiah, Jeremiah says, and he gives a promise that the Jewish people will come back to live in Anatot. And think about, Jeremiah lived 2,600 years ago. And Jeremiah lived in a time when he was prophesying that the Jewish people would have to leave the land of Israel, which unfortunately came true. But he also prophesied that we will come back to Anatot. And today, you have these two villages up here, Anatot and Almona. You have Anatah, the Arab village, and the Jews live here. You should see all the people coming here that we met, who live in this area and celebrate this beautiful nature. I'll turn around my camera for a minute so you could just get a sense of this, of the Maboa pool, the Maboa spring, which is all natural water. And I'll explain you what goes on. But look at all the bricks above it. I'm not sure if you see. If you look, you see all these bricks, and then we walk down. This is all the mountain that we walk down, this whole mountain. But then when you come to the bottom of the mountain, you see right here, and you watch, this is the Mabua spring. As you see, there's tons of people here. And the Mabua spring, the water will go up all the way till these bricks, right here. But then it'll recede. It's about, you can see there's people that are 6 feet tall. It's maybe 4.5, 5 feet. It will all leave, and 15 minutes later, it will come back. Give a look. I'll just give you one more scenery from this side. This is just unbelievable. Here's the mountains on top, if you see. Here is the mountains on the other side. Look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. And the truth is, I didn't even know where I was till I met this Israeli guy who's running away from me now. Tzaddik, come say hi to my community on Facebook Live.
It's me.
What's your name?
Doron.
Doron is the one who told me about Nachal Prat and made the connection to me to Jeremiah, which I remember because right in the beginning of Jeremiah, it says they lived in Anatot, right?
Yes.
And not only did they live in Anatot, but God tells them to go to Prat and to bury the silk belt.
Yes.
And then God tells him to look at the Shkedim, and you see the almond trees here. So you gave me a Dvar Torah to share with my community that I just told them.
Okay.
Where do you live in Israel?
Rishon LeZion in
Rishon LeZion, Sababa. Meet my dear friend.